welcome to Newsmakers. I'm your host today, Carrie Coogan, and we are inside Science City Museum in the historic Union Station building in Kansas City, Missouri, and I'm joined today, happily joined by Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Circo. How are you doing?
I'm great, happy to be here. This is a great space.
Well, the first thing I wanted to ask you about are two really exciting things that have been happening in our city that revolve around technology and digital inclusion. One is the Digital Inclusion Summit report out that happened today, I believe, and then earlier this week was the Gigabit Summit. So for people that don't understand what that means or what's going on, can you talk about it? First of all, maybe let's start with the Digital Inclusion Summit report out.
So digital inclusion is a snapshot in time of understanding who uses, who doesn't use internet access. And there is a segment of population that don't even believe that it's necessary, but it's just the exposure to it. So it is, and then there's that population who can't afford that connection to the home or have access. So it's how do you create that public access where there's enough that anybody who wants to use it can use it, and then how do you educate those that don't feel a need, and it's usually lower income and seniors, on what advantage it is to them to actually have that connection and the tools that now become at their fingertips to do many things for themselves versus relying on reaching out for help outside of their home.
Yeah, I think it's so hard for most people to realize that there are people who are actually in the digital divide, meaning they don't have access to any technology at all and rarely use it. So why is this important to the rest of us that it's an everyday part of our life? Why should the rest of us care?
Well, you can just see by virtue of our phones that we used just 5 years ago and today how fast the technology is moving and the access to information. It's almost at a blink of an eye. That means we're leaving an entire segment of the population behind that is left in a disinformation world where they're not being able to engage fully to what is to their advantage. And many times it's money savings that they can obtain by the knowledge that they'll get. It's education that's at their fingertips, even if it's not a certified class, but just taking some kind of course online that may even be free that it will advance them in their life. So there's things that can advance their personal life that they're missing out on. And for any of us, you know, there was that time where reading was the only thing that seemed to create a divide. And now if you compile that on top of lack of information, then you really have left someone behind.
Serious problem. Really quick, I want to talk about the Gigabit Summit because it happened here in Kansas City and had a strong turnout.
It was a great turnout. I got to have a really personal connection and had dinner with many of the mayors and city managers that came from all over the nation here to Kansas City to really participate in the conversation about what does it mean to be a next century city. And there's just a vibe here. We get to tout that we're leading the world in this conversation, and we are in many aspects, but there are so many things going on across the entire nation of how people and cities are really taking this connection, the ability to connect their entire community seriously, to where they're putting bond issuance out, they're putting ballot measures on out for the voters. So we're very fortunate in Kansas City to have a wide variety of providers that are servicing us and playing a role in finding how we make everyone have the connection.
Yeah, and playing a role as a leader. Kansas City is really a national, even global leader. There were people even from, you know, internationally that came to this summit. So can you talk about why that's important, that Kansas City is really leading the charge here?
Well, it's important because I think we're willing to say we don't know everything. We want you to come here with us, explore together, share each other's ideas, and really play in the sandbox. And we're right here where the digital sandbox is. And we have this great core of grassroots advocacy that's going on that, but for that ecosystem here in Kansas City, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I could talk about this for hours, but thank you so much for your time, and we really appreciate you coming.
Appreciate it.
That's all the time we have on Newsmakers today, but we'll see you right back here next time.